Good day. Welcome to News Now on TV360. I am Thelma Okuru. The wait for signing of Nigeria's 2017 budget is finally over. Acting President Yemi Osinbajo just signed the document into law 1 month after it was passed by the National Assembly. Senate President Bukola Saraki and Speaker of the House Yakubu Dogara joined the acting president at the presidential villa for the signing of the budget. Earlier this morning, President Buhari's spokesman Garba Shehu said the president had given Osinbajo his backing to sign the budget in the interest of the nation's economy. The 7.44 trillion naira budget passed on May 11th is larger than the 7.29 trillion naira draft spending plan submitted by President Muhammad Buhari in December last year. Today marks the 24th anniversary of a day that has come to be recognized as a defining moment in the history of Nigeria's democracy. Popularly known as June 12th, it commemorates the day in 1993 when General Ibrahim Babangida annulled the country's presidential election. Nigerian politician Moshood Kashimawo Abiola, referred to as MKO Abiola, was believed to have won that election, which has been widely applauded to be the freest and fairest in the country's history. Now, to mark today, family and friends of MKO Abiola gathered at his residence in Lagos State, southwest Nigeria, to celebrate his life and achievements.
Nigeria today is befaced with a series of crises. Some have been addressed and some that are lingering. And for those that continuously linger, it's a clear sign that our prescription to addressing Nigeria's sickness is still not the right one. We have still not gotten it right as a nation and as a people. We thought by having democracy, representative democracy, that people who win elections will have the monopoly of knowledge of addressing the problems of the country. But it is very clear from unfolding events that winning election and occupying public office with a mandate is not an automatic guarantee for people of that kind to address the problem of the nation. And as such, brings the need for us to do what we need to do. We either need to dust the conferences reports of the past and pick those ones we can implement, or we have to move further and organize a new one that will address these problems that have lingered and that have defied solutions from the people in the position of power. This day is a day for Nigerians to use it as an opportunity to question power, to question the inability of power to address our myriads of socio-economic and political challenges.
Guests at the event also want MKO Abiola to be immortalized as a hero of democracy.
I am proud of them for standing up during that time, especially because it was a military regime. Like I always say, my father was like a first step. So, okay, he died for this democracy that we're serving, we're going through today. But like I said, democracy itself is not a solid pill. So it's fluid. It's something that changes as we go along. What I would expect now would be that we should start looking at ways of tweaking this democracy to work for Nigerians as a whole, and not a situation where we have just a few people enjoying the wealth of the nation while others are suffering. So I think it's very important that we understand where we are, where we're going, and the only way we can do that is by understanding what happened in the past. And that's why I've always been a strong supporter of this June 12th and June 4th, trying to get people sensitized, let them know exactly what went wrong, so that way we don't make those same mistakes. If I don't know what happened in my past, I'm only bound to make those same mistakes. So that's and then with democracy, like I said, it's fluid. We only had like 18 years of democracy now. America is 200 years, and you see what's even going on there. Like the blacks are still not, they still don't have any rights. So like I said, it's a fluid process. It's something that we shouldn't be in a hurry to get this to think everything will be perfect. But as long as each and every one of us should take part and work at it, then it shouldn't be that hard to do.
Today is supposed to be public holiday nationwide, but it is not so. So we are sad. Only the Yorubas, the Southwest, declared today as public holiday. It's not fair. This country, we should see ourselves as our brother's keeper. Today we are all condemning Arewa youth, asking Igbos to quit the North. We are saying that that quit notice is not only for Igbos, it is for all other Nigerians, and we condemn it. And today, June 12th anniversary, Northern senators and some other leaders are here, showing that we cannot just create some anarchy and create some anarchy for even our children. So if we say we are going to depart and leave Nigeria, we can go into dialogue and everybody go their way. You cannot be giving threats to people. So people like Abiola who won election, even in Tofa village, that is the symbol of unity. That is the symbol. It is extraordinary history. It is extraordinary history. He broke history. Abiola is supposed to be in Guinness Book of Record. For him to defeat his opponent right in the village of the opponent. Presidential election. It happened in Nigeria. It did not happen 700 billion years ago. Yesterday, June 12, 1993, it happened in Africa. It happened in Nigeria. So, shows a man, we are going to continue to remember him for his greatness. Because he will not discriminate whether you are a Christian, whether you are a Muslim. All his goodies, he give it to everybody that he know that, yes, need his help. And that is why we are here. And we continue to celebrate him. We are asking for the National Theatre, the Eagle Square in Abuja, or the National Stadium. Those symbolic monuments are what we deserve, what he deserves as something to remember him.
June 12 stands for unauthoritarian's constitutional values when we talk about what laid the pedestal for the current administrative democratic process we are enjoying today. Even if the democratic process is haphazard, we still believe that Abiola paid the supreme price 24 years ago. And the Yoruba Council of Youth is really will continually adorn his vision, his prospect, and his visions are predicated on what and so many of the fights that is ongoing today. One of those key things is restructuring. Abiola represents a national symbol. He is a detribalized person that extrapolates the entire nationhood. He's not a Yoruba person alone. Abiola represents the North in his life. Abiola represents the Southeast. He represents the South-South. He's a man of the people, and that is why he was elected the president. And in that light, we see Abiola as a former president of this country. We owe Abiola the same honor every of the past president has been, and we are also using this medium, being the 24th year, that the federal government of this country should come down off his high horse, recognize Abiola, sworn him in posthumously, and confer the GCFR honor to Abiola.
More details have emerged on the capture of a man described as the most wanted and highly notorious kidnapper in Nigeria. The kidnap kingpin Chukwudi Dumeme Onuamadike, also known as Evans, was arrested on Saturday at Magodo Estate in Lagos. Since his arrest, there has been a sigh of relief in the Nigerian police force. Evans and his gang in the past few years claimed responsibility for many abductions that instilled fear in Nigerians. For more than 7 years, the kidnap kingpin was on the watch list of Nigerian security forces. From the ransom he got from his kidnappers, Evans says he acquired 2 mansions in Magodo, in Lagos, worth over 300 million naira, as well as 2 mansions in Ghana, exotic cars and expensive jewelries. Spokesperson of the Nigerian police force, Moshood Jimoh, says the arrest was a major breakthrough for security officials and marks the beginning of the end of kidnapping in Nigeria.
One Felix Chimanere, 36 years, is a native of Arochukwu, Ohafia local government of Abia State. Is the 2IC, the second in command of the gang. Himself to have made useful statement to the police of the various roles they play in the commission of the offense.
More on our top stories. 2 U.S. Senators Cory Booker and Rand Paul say they are against President Donald Trump's plans to sell fighter jets to Nigeria. President Trump had earlier this year assured Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari of America's commitment to Nigeria's anti-insurgency fight. He also assured the president that the U.S. would sell fighter jets to the country to aid its fight against Boko Haram. However, the senators, in a letter to U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, say the sale is ill-advised owing to the failure of the Nigerian government to investigate alleged human rights abuses in the northeast part of the country. The Nigerian Army says it has killed several Boko Haram terrorists, including a top leader of the sect in a clearance operation in Borno State, northeast Nigeria. A statement from the Army said the operation carried out over the weekend led to the death of notorious Abdul Nazir, the terrorist Amir in Jarawa. 9 children abducted by the sect were also rescued in that operation. The Army has also arrested 24 suspected Boko Haram members in Auchi Kingdom in Edo State. A monarch in the community said the arrested persons were operating in the guise of herdsmen. The monarch, who described the activities of the herdsmen in the area as worrisome, says farmers, especially women, have been advised to stop farming for now. The National Judicial Council has defended its decision to recall 6 of the judges suspended last year. The Nigerian government had in October accused the judges of being corrupt. In its initial statement, the body said failure of the Nigerian government to arraign the judges was the reason for recalling them. The government has also condemned the decision and filed corruption charges against 2 of the recalled judges. The Nigerian Society of Engineers wants the government to come up with a policy to protect critical infrastructure in the country. A guest speaker at the public lecture organized by the Nigerian Society of Engineers Lagos chapter says Nigeria has no concrete policy to guard physical and IT facilities. He warned if these facilities are disrupted, it would have a serious impact on the nation's economy.
Security, for example, is always taken for granted by everybody. It's until something happens that people now start thinking, oh, we should have done this. But what we are saying, because based on experience, what we are saying now is that right from inception, we should always consider security, because Nigeria is not in isolation. We're part of a global community, and we know what is the global threat trend in the world, which is terrorism, as we are all aware of. So how do we protect our critical infrastructure? How do we protect our assets, material and human beings? So that's where the engineers have to come in. That's where the government has to take a serious interest in coming up with a policy for protection of critical infrastructure. From my point of view, as I know, I'm not sure of any policy that we can share with everybody that this is the policy of government for protection of critical infrastructure.
Engineers need to be involved in the specification of those equipment, and when they arrive in the certification of equipment that we are using, it's been found before that some of this equipment imported not only for safety, even for other infrastructure, are substandard, and these are brought into our countries, and the certification is not good enough. So we need specialists who will work in this area to check and to certify whatever equipment.
The area wherein we need to really emphasize on to develop Nigeria, to take Nigeria to the next level from where it is to actually invest in structural design, invest in mechanical design, and to look at the areas wherein we can help Nigeria to move, to countries like China, like Japan, because they are putting so much money into research, which we are not doing right now. If you go to FIRO right now, you find out that some of the things that we are supposed to be doing in the area of critical infrastructure, we are not really investing in them.
Ali Ndume, the suspended senator representing Borno South, has ruled out apologizing in order to be called back to the Nigerian Senate. Speaking to reporters on the matter, he said there was no basis to ask him to apologize since he did nothing to warrant a suspension. According to him, what he did in the Senate was to draw the attention of his colleagues to issues being raised about 2 senators in the Nigerian media. Wife of the governor of Lagos State, Bolanle Ambody, has called on mothers and guardians to stop child labor and pay more attention to the welfare of their children. Mrs. Ambody said child labor is a crime against humanity as it keeps the child away from all the benefits of childhood, which is all about the happiest and most memorable period in the life of a human being. According to her, the non-eradication of the illegal act interferes with the child's right to basic education, making them vulnerable and a social liability to the country.
Give him his shoes somewhere here, his phone and everything.
Don't do like that again, no.
Thank you. So, bye-bye. Hey, Oga, where do you think you are going?
Oh, you never shake body.
Eh?
You never shake body.
Shake body, see?
Eh? You never shake body.
How?
You never shake body.
I don't get combo for my body.
You go take for here. Sit down there.
Down. What's this man still doing here?
They say I do shake body. I shake body, I shake body. They say I do this. And I say I don't get color.
You are asking for money. Sorry, ma'am. Asking for money to bail a suspect is an act of corruption. Both of you will be punished. Corruption is not allowed within the force. Remember,
Police is your friend. Giving and taking bribe is wrong.
corruption not in my country.
Stop corruption now.
Corruption not in my country.
Welcome back to Business Stories. Now, the Naira is expected to remain stable in coming weeks owing to an increased dollar supply to build the official interbank window and the black market. Since February this year, CBN has been intervening seriously in the currency market to narrow the gap between the official and black market rates. The Naira was quoted at $3.68 per dollar on the black market against $3.82 per dollar recorded last week. Nigeria's Debt Management Office will on June 13th commence a 10-day roadshow in the United States, UK and Switzerland for the country's first diaspora bond of $300 million. The Debt Office filed a registration statement for the bonds with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. The DMO says an application would be made for the bonds to be admitted to the official list of the UK Listing Authority and the London Stock Exchange. Oil rose more than 1% on Monday after Saudi Arabia announced it would limit volumes of crude to some Asian buyers in July this year. The nation says to also dipping cuts to the United States. Brent crude was up $48.78 per barrel, while U.S. crude rose 61 cents to $46.44 per barrel. Traders say the price rise come as data shows speculative traders had increased their investment in crude futures. The Kenyan government says it has arrested 6 men suspected of planning an attack sponsored by Al-Shabaab militants from neighboring Somalia. Head of Kenya Police Joseph Boynet said 2 of the suspects were Kenyans and the others were Somali nationals. Police also seized assembled explosives, 4 suicide vests and bomb-making materials. In recent weeks, the East African nation has lost 20 officers in various attacks, mostly on deserted roads in its border with Somalia. Guinea's President Alpha Condé has written to Saudi Arabia offering to mediate in the crisis between Riyadh, its allies, and the tiny nation of Qatar. Leading Arab powers, including Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and the United Arab Emirates, cut ties with Qatar, accusing it of supporting terrorism. Condé was part of an official delegation of Muslim leaders who traveled to Saudi Arabia during a visit by U.S. President Donald Trump in May this year. Nigeria's Sports Minister Solomon Dalong has summoned members of the NFF Technical Committee to explain the reason behind the Eagles' defeat by South Africa's team. The meeting is expected to hold on Tuesday this week. Super Eagles lost 2-0 to South Africa in their opening 2019 African Cup of Nations qualifier in Uyo. Other teams of the group are Libya and Seychelles. Nigeria's Blessing Okagbare has been listed for the long jump event at the IWF Diamond League meeting on Thursday. The event holds at the Bislett Stadium, Oslo, Norway. This will be the Nigeria's first ever trip to the Oslo event. US reigning world champion Balotella Tayana and British duo of Logan Lorraine and Shara Proctor have also been confirmed for the meeting. FIFA President Gianni Infantino has backed Qatar to remain as host of the 2022 World Cup tournament. The Middle East nation is facing a regional crisis after it was accused of sponsoring terrorism in the region. However, despite the crisis, Infantino says Qatar will remain as host of the 2022 World Cup tournament. That's all we have on News Now. Thanks for watching. I'm Thelma Okoro.